I don't know if you deserved this, but I can't say you deserve much better. I just wonder, do you find peace down there? A little grave digging should be fine. If people can't play you anymore, we can at least dig you up and put you in a museum. Normally I make this kind of video because the game stinks to high heaven. In this case, Highguard is in heaven. Wait, why am I digging down then? After failing to get an audience, Highguard lasted about a month. They ran out of money, chose to pack it up. This isn't going to recap the many controversies of the game. Highguard needed people, nobody showed up. The end. Consider this Highguard for people who will never play it. My goal here is to preserve some piece of a dead creature, to put Highguard through a filter and turn it from EXE to MP4. A way to recall what was here. Because Highguard did not deserve this. It just didn't deserve much better. So let's go down. Oh, sorry, I have to make a quick stop. Just need to check on something. This video is sponsored by Crystal of Atlan. Crystal of Atlan is a cross-platform magic punk MMO action RPG, as players immerse themselves as members of the Thornbirds Adventurer Guild. Choose from multiple classes, each with over 20 skill combinations, with classics like the Fighter to off-the-wall picks like the Puppeteer, including the new Inventor class. And since each class branches off into 2 other classes, that means you get the Empirica and Rhapsodia ones too. Or you can have a Martial Panda that backs you up, alongside their PvP game mode featuring full team battles. And when you face off, they turn everything down so that skill is the only determining factor, as well as co-op dungeons for the less competitively inclined. You can even do up to 8-player dungeons to boost teamwork to the max, giving you exhilarating and fluid combat with seamless control over your movement, including those aerial combos I missed so much. If you don't want that, there's a new homesteading mechanic, where you can build your eternal flex off. Go to my link in the description and download Crystal of Atlan. Available on Google Play, the App Store, PC, PlayStation 5, and Steam. Thank you again to Crystal of Atlan for sponsoring this video. Highguard was a raid shooter, a genre I'm sure will thrive after this. It was essentially a game of attack and defense on bases where people fought over a flag. It was complicated and stupid at the same time, with a lot of little caveats that melted away because most people ran at your base full speed, then planted the flag.
Listen, Usher, no more spawns. We're in extra time.
The maps were large, but there was also a mount system, kinda like Sprint on crack. You could summon a horse that allowed you to rapidly dash around. It was pretty fluid too. You were on the horse in almost a second. You could even use it in combat to rapidly reposition. In terms of game feel, it felt a lot like Apex Legends with a lot less bullshit and downtime. Except for that 1-minute looting phase, followed up by the other 1-minute looting phase. In its short life, they tried very damn hard to tweak this raid system. For example, you used to be able to get as many generators as you wanted during the attack phase. Then they limited it to 1 to make the games go on longer. Then after that, they were like, oh, people don't like looting, let's just make an attack and defense game mode. 3 players in a match, to hell with that, make it 5. My opinion was that this was better than Apex Legends if you didn't play Apex Legends. You didn't have to dive into the map, making a single mistake didn't wash the entire run. And since Apex isn't interested in doing real content anymore, there was a part of me that kind of enjoyed Highguard's rapid approach to changes, even if these were closer to death throes than anything else. There is this part of me that wants to be kinder to Highguard knowing it's dead. Like the moment it went down, it had gone from 10-cent funded industry plant to wounded underdog. This doesn't mean I'd give the game a glowing review or recommendation. Highguard was like an Xbox 7 and a Steam 5, infinitely more notable in its ending than its life. It's proof that Concord wasn't a one-off, something gamers can read aloud to other games like, if you're not a single player with a satisfying story, the Concord monster's gonna get you. I'm going to go through the Highguard heroes. Many of them had no swag, no cheddar, no gusto. I think those animated shorts are still up. Go watch them and get back to me, oh historian you. They were going to tell the story of Highguard sequentially through each update with these shorts. And as one of the few people who played that other game as well, that's what Concord was gonna do too. I can't do all of the characters. I guess Condor and Mara will have to be forgotten to the annals of time. Starting with John Highguard. Each character in Highguard had a passive, an active ability, and an ultimate, though you should know these weren't extremely efficient. Highguard was a game about guns, specifically the Dynasty and the Vandal, since anything else was asking to get ventilated. In fact, one of the biggest flaws with Highguard was that you didn't really get to inhabit the character. They kind of just had a little side piece, something optional that doesn't really bring themselves around to a whole character. Atticus was a control type. Technically assault, but he tossed out these electric spears that dealt tiny chip damage to anybody nearby until someone shot it. He was an assault character owed to the fact that he could launch these across the map. Believe it or not, if they had guns, they would just turn around and break it instantly. So it wasn't great as a long-term defense. Mostly when the bomb went down, you just throw them all down and hope that they tickled people enough to stop them. Or in a fight, you toss them at your feet and say, "The mat is small, but it's in my favor. I fucking dare you." That said, he was blessed with an ultimate that acted as an explosive chopper gunner. The game never progressed far enough for people to realize he was the easiest target alive when doing this, but you could hit some sweet kills doing this. Also, his passive charged up his axe over time that lets you mine resources faster. Una was this crowd control character. You could spawn these little fellas that lobbed concussive bombs at people, or summon an ultimate that lobbed fire bombs. It fell into that archetype where it could be useful, but you couldn't actually tell when it was. On paper, this sounds alright. Highguard was a base defense game. You could tactically place them in spots that could help. The concussion effect was very minor, and the damage was barely anything. So you just had to assume that they were maybe getting shot at and taking attention from something else. To jump ahead, because if you couldn't play the game, Lord knows how fast I'm losing you now, I want to talk about Ekon. This was the first post-launch hero. He was meant to be an intercept archetype. Highguard liked tempting fate. A lot of classes were their first in the group, and now the only. The coolest thing about Ekon is that he didn't have a mount to traverse the map. He was the mount, shape-shifting into an actual wolf, swapping out your ability to shoot on horseback for a bite attack. And since wolf mode was very easy to activate, you could just do this whenever, meaning you could full send it at some motherfucker if you didn't mind being reminded that guns were king around here. He also had this tracking wolf thing. It would hone in on people and stick a little marker on them. Again, not incredibly useful. The most I would ever use this was when the shield breaker was forming, and I wasn't sure what direction the ambush would come from. Then we have Colo. Colo was the last character Highguard ever made. They did not have to make Colo. He was added less than a week before the game went out. And to Wildlight's credit, they made him anyway. They were told they could just wrap up and be done with Highguard there. Though, they chose, for the few people who still played the game, to put out this character. He was only playable for a week. That's the kind of gesture that doesn't get grabbed in the endless kicking fest. So, I want to show him to you. He was a tanking hero that created barriers. His shift let him put up a barrier with finite health. You could hold it up and block shots. He was weakened by the fact that he couldn't shoot while holding up. There was some fun to be had when you're watching a team fight and you just wedge yourself in between. According to my teammates, my regular shield blocked their bullets too. Then he had this ultimate that put down a dome shield, which, of course, you could not shoot out of. I know this for the truth. It's cinema. That said, he wasn't good, but you know what? It was kinda cool that they made him. That said, he was a step in the right direction. He stood out a lot more from the other cast members in that he was a bulkier, tanky character. Apparently, Colo was entirely built from the criticism they had received while making the game. So when I say he sucks, I mostly mean on a strength level. Though also, it was probably too late. I played Colo, just saying. That's me, only guy who's ever done it. This is my footage. You can't claim it as your own, and if you do, I'll fucking kill you. I'm gonna go on to the two heroes that I thought were more salvageable and interesting. Kai and Slade. Kai was this ugly bastard that was able to create ice terrain. When someone blew up a wall in Highguard, you needed this resource to fix it, so the random boxes in the looting phase could have something other than another gun that wasn't a Dynasty or a Vandal. Kai didn't need to collect these at all. He could repair walls indefinitely, he just had to be there. Again, in another life, I really would have liked begging for your nerfs. His primary ability allowed the guy to conjure an ice wall from nothing, which he could then push. In most cases, it just reset the fight, which happened oh so often in Highguard owed to its regenerating health. Though sometimes, you could do cool stuff like this.
Firing! Throwing a grenade! I'm reloading! Ice wall up!
The ultimate was the closest thing Highguard had to texture, as it was something that, when it happened, you were bound to actually notice it. Kai's ultimate let him swap places with his brother Riin, a massive ice troll that reworked your base kit. It turned you into a small raid boss. You slammed your fists or held up your shield. Slade was one of the other attack heroes, and unlike Atticus, he actually felt like an attack character. Because you could break John Highguard's props so easily, Slade's flaming wall cannot be dealt with unless you move a little to the right, because a lot of the cover in this game was goddamn giant. But it did have damn good range, meaning you could snipe people with this from afar. And sometimes a tiny bit of chip damage stops their shield from regenerating, giving you all of the attention to push. His passive was unique too. All Highguard characters had a free grenade, except Slade's grenade was a napalm grenade, meaning you could actually deny space with it. Or if that wasn't enough, you could call on his ultimate, that dealt AoE flame damage. Raid tools were more efficient than all of the powers. These were utility items. Believe it or not, Highguard had some goddamn cool items laying around. You could pick up a fucking earthquake hammer, slam it down, and create dozens of walls of cover. Which is why nobody picked Kai. When you broke into a base, you ended up in a goddamn kill zone. Yes, you shattered a hole in their base and they took damage, but it was also a choke point. And you only had so many lives until the attack was considered a failure and you took the exact same damage back. Meaning you had to break in with rockets or zip lines or hammers. No one did that. They stared down the choke point. Lockpicks were the raid tool they added in one of their patches. The base was full of these locked doors. Most people would settle for the missile, but Wildlight came back with something that just opened the door in the most boring way possible. Quite the gamble for a player count hitting the Saddam. Not the flash of an explosion or a giant ice troll, just a glowing doorway. Maybe an upgrade that gives you a speed boost for allies or deals damage to enemies. I did use this quite a lot though, because nobody else did. Highguard, in that final update, introduced a skill tree, which I'm glad didn't get very far. I believe the issue they were trying to address was that Highguard didn't have any unlockable content besides skins and emotes, meaning there was very little reason to actually play the game. Nothing to keep you dropping into matches over and over again. In general, I dislike the approach they've taken. You got skill points, and you got permanent upgrades for dropping the points in there. It was going to create an unfair gap between players in a way that doesn't feel natural in my mind. I'd much rather a gear system or perks for characters to equip as you level them up. Or if you want to be a little evil, maybe you just give us a character that we can unlock by playing a bunch. Even Apex did that. That said, with this being my last Highguard video, probably one of the last ones ever, I want to try and change my tone a bit. Highguard did not entirely fail off the backs of gamers. If it was more appealing, it'd probably still be here. Though, I kinda wish I could still play it. Highguard was really good at getting you into interesting fights. When the base was being sieged and there was this vibrant, chaotic energy you could tap into, I had some sincere clutch plays where I killed the last guy and was able to defuse the bomb just in time, or I turned a spot into such a hazard zone that I racked up insane amounts of damage, or when I had the odd play as Scarlet with these knives that refreshed after each kill. I don't think I'd have played it forever, but I'd have played it. And for a game that got shit on the moment it came out, I guess I wanted to say something that they probably didn't get a lot of. Goodbye, Highguard. I thought you were pretty fun, and I'm gonna miss you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. I'm currently torn between doing an Ex Voto video or a Resident Evil Requiem video, so drop your opinion on that in the comments if you know what both of those are. Also, I'd like to thank the people on Patreon who made this video possible. I would especially like to thank Asa Dekai, Fexter, Sirop, Ethan A, and Anthony R. Chambers. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys sometime soon in the next video.